evening. This is the biggest story, viewers, not just of the week, but perhaps for decades to come. Not just a story, in fact, a revolution that will hopefully bring about a larger change. Me Too has taken the country by storm, and it is high time this happens. But tonight, I don't want to do a debate. We are not going to do a debate. Tonight, I will not even bore you with any of my long monologues. Tonight is about the stories of women who have found the courage to speak up. Tonight is about the experiences that will make you shudder when you listen to them. Tonight is about giving a platform to broadcast the voices who have exposed the sexual predators of our society. Tonight, we listen. And we do this in the hope that it will give strength to more victims of sexual harassment in our country. Now is the time, people. Speak up. Over the next 1 hour, we will speak with the accusers of Alok Nath, of Sajid Khan, of MJ Akbar and Vairamuthu. And I promise to you, in the coming days and weeks, we will bring you more such voices. Everybody in this country must hear these stories. You may have seen it around you, but unless and until we get the gravity of it, change won't come. Let's begin with the latest. Sajid Khan has been accused by 4 women now. The 4th one will speak up now on this show. He's been accused of sexual harassment. They've written detailed accounts on social media about how they were harassed by this filmmaker. From asking them to lift their skirt, whether they had gotten a breast job done, from asking them to strip in front of him and seduce him for a role. Post these allegations, Sajid Khan has stepped down or has quit the movie Houseful 4 that was in production right now. He will not be directing that movie. Akshay Kumar has said that he will not work with anybody who is a proven offender. But joining me right now is one of the accusers, Simran Kaur, who's with us. Simran, thank you for speaking to us and thank you for speaking out. What made you decide that now was the time to talk?
Me Too movement has actually, it's everywhere, and even yesterday I was speaking to a friend of mine and I told that friend, I said, now that this movement is all heated up, I should talk about this man because it's high time, and from last 5.5 years I am keeping this anger against him in my heart and there is killing. So I should talk about this man. And this morning when I saw one of my friend, Rachel White, she also posted about the same thing. So it actually gave me the courage. I thought this is the right time and I should talk now, otherwise I'll never be able to speak about this.
Would you want to share with us what you went through at that time?
Yeah, so Sajid Khan himself, he gave me a call. I don't know from where he got my number. He called me and he said that, Simran, I am casting for Himmatwala, so would you come to my office? And I got all excited. I thought, this great director, he's calling me himself, and I think I'll get a good role. So when I went there, it was not his office, it was his house in Juhu, and he was in his stando and shorts, and he was on the treadmill doing all his workout. And it was a little weird for me because for me it was a professional meeting, and then he asked me how is my body looking, and I obviously I didn't react. Then after asking me a few questions, he said, Simran, please strip for me, and that was shocking. I said, what? He said, yeah, I mean, as a director I should see your body. I have all the right to see your body and I want to see you naked. And in fact, I even asked him the questions because I saw a photo of him and Jacqueline hugging each other in that same room. I said, you're dating such a pretty girl. Why would you do all this to women? He said, yeah, but it's only because of my work. As a director, I have to see you without clothes. and he was not even ashamed of what he's saying. And I said, please don't talk all this. I mean, it's really uncomfortable. Then he came a little close to me and he put his finger here and he did this and he said, show me your cleavage. And that was the time when I lost it. I abused him. I was shouting on him and I was so loud. Then he said, dheere bol, meri mama hai dusre room mein. And then I said, you're so shameless that, you know, your mom is in another room and you're still doing all this. You're calling girls in another room and you're doing this. I said, don't you dare call me again. And I left from that place. But I think within a few hours, he called me again. And by the time I had deleted his number, so he said, Simran. I said, who's that? He said, Sajid. Then I was like, why is he calling me again? He said, Simran, as a director and actor, if we have to work together, we should know each other more. We should meet more often. Then again I abused him. I said, Sajid, do not call me again. And this is the last time I'm taking your call. And I abused him and I cut that call. And that was the last time I received any call from him.
Did you know, Simran, that he had allegedly done this to other women? Did maybe Rachel and you speak about it? Did you know that there was a pattern to this?
Not when I went there to meet him, but yeah, after I started sharing this story to a lot of friends who are from the industry, then I kept hearing a lot of other stories that, you know, he always keeps a bikini in his office and he makes girls wear it, and a lot of people, they come crying out of his office. So I think it's just 4 of us who have come up and shared our stories, but I'm pretty sure there are 10,000 girls in the city who have been harassed by this man.
Now, often, you know, there are a few people out there who, when hear these stories, say, why didn't they speak up then? Why are they speaking up 5 years or 10 years or 2 years later? Why didn't you take a stand then? Why didn't you complain? Or what do you say to such people? What would your response be?
Yeah, so people have been saying this on my tweets, but obviously I am a nobody when it comes to Sajid Khan. He is a powerful man. Even when I was talking to my colleagues from the industry, they said, Simran, even if you will talk about it, nobody would listen to you. And it's not that I never spoke about it to anyone. I did speak about it to a lot of friends, and they have been, you know, big people in the industry, but they suggested to never to talk about it, and they just said you reach at a position and then when you meet him face to face and then probably you can do whatever you want, but now nobody would listen to you.
You know, a few of those who are close to Sajid Khan, friends and family, have tweeted and they have said that he must atone for his actions. They have also expressed shock and surprise. Now, help us understand this, Simran. How does this work in a film industry, in the TV industry, when you're working on a project together? Is it possible that people around don't know that a certain man is doing this repeatedly?
I don't think it's a surprise now. I think because they are also answerable to everybody, so that's why they're giving this statement. I think Bipasha Basu also shared her experience some time ago, and it's not that nobody knows about it. I'm sure a lot of, when he's calling girls home, his mom is there, then obviously they know about it. It's just that now they are also answerable, so they're saying this thing. Otherwise, I think a lot of people, they, at least about this man, almost all the industry know about him.
Simran Kaur, more power to you. Thank you for speaking up. One can only hope that when our viewers see you and hear you, more women get the courage to speak up and expose the sexual predators around them. Thank you for speaking to Mirror Now. In fact, Farah Khan issued a statement saying that though it was a heartbreaking time for her family, she supports the survivors, and if her brother has done anything wrong, he will have to atone for his actions. Farhan Akhtar also tweeted, saying he hopes that the director finds a way to atone for over the allegations. But let me go across to Tanima, who is joining me, because I also want to take you all through some of the other accusations. Simran Kaur was just one voice. There have been 3 others, Tanima, and they all have equally shocking stories to tell.
Yes, Tanvi, some serious allegations being leveled against Sajid Khan, the director, and these are all women who had met him on professional grounds. But the kind of details that they share on social media, they are clearly shocking. If I can just read out some of the details to you. Saloni Chopra, one of the survivors, actually says that Sajid Khan asked her if she masturbated, asked her if she would get a breast job done, and also if she can share her bikini photos with him. And she also says how she had in fact witnessed Sajid Khan asking a girl to lift her skirt and said other inappropriate sexual comments. Karisma Upadhyay, another survivor, tells how Sajid Khan talked about how large his penis is. He came in the room and took his penis out once they were in a room together and forced his tongue down my throat and said that you are fatter than you used to be. These are details shared by Karisma Upadhyay, one of the survivors. And lastly, Rachel White writes that Sajid Khan had allegedly asked her to strip and said that if you seduce me, then the role is yours. These are exact quotes of the allegations being leveled against Sajid Khan by 3 women. Sajid Khan, of course, we saw that he denied these allegations but decided to step away from a film project that he was associated with in the coming future. But these women clearly giving graphic details of the kind of uncomfortable situations they had to be in with the director.
Thanks, Anima, for putting all of that in detail. We go across now to the other big story and the other big voice that we have for you. And Chinmay Sripada is joining us on the last word. Just to let our viewers know, Tamil lyricist Vairamuthu's name has now emerged in this Me Too wave. In fact, after Sandhya Menon tweeted screenshots of a victim of harassment of Vairamuthu, National Award-winning singer Chinmay Sripada also came out with her story. And I'm going to go across directly to her. Chinmay, thank you for joining us on Vera Now. What made you speak up now?
I think when Raya Sarkar had released the list, it was just the beginning. And now when I saw accounts of people sharing their stories, with Manisha Kukreja and Sandhya Menon, and after that when I saw the first few tweets, I somehow gathered the courage to speak about it myself, and when I did, I got few more accounts from my colleagues. So sharing that, I really thought it was my responsibility to speak up for those who don't have it in them, or the family support, or are still scared to speak up against their predators.
Well, we are glad that you did, Chinmay, and while largely the response has been very supportive of you and what you have said, there has been a bit of backlash on social media. A lot of negative comments have also come in. How do you deal with such kind of a response? What do you tell yourself?
It is difficult. Another response that I am actually dealing with now is there are a couple of screenshotted there are a couple of photoshopped tweets that are going out as if it's gone out from my handle. I don't know what's going to come of it. That's what is, stuff that will actually take the credibility away from the Me Too movement. And they have done a great Photoshop job. So I think I'll just ask people to just look into my timeline and see if the tweet is actually there, So that's what we have been putting up. Other than that, I think for telling myself, yes, I knew when I actually named someone as powerful, I knew there will be backlash. I knew there will be caste, concepts and ideas. I knew that there will be a lot of anger, people saying I'm lying, that I'm doing this for publicity, and that I'm doing this for a lot of other reasons, and maybe there is a hidden reason. Is there a political backing for this? I kind of expected all that, but I think this is where friends and family, they rally around and make you feel stronger.
Chinmay, we've seen now literally a wave of Me Too hit Bollywood, hit even the news media industry, corporate industry. Now people have started to speak up there. Since you've spoken up, did you expect a lot more women from the southern industry or even the music industry to come out with their experiences? Are you still expecting that?
Actually, there are a lot of voices have started speaking about the classical music industry in the South. I have slowly started convincing people who are ready, not forcing anybody, but asking people who trust me with their stories to trust a journalist with their stories, so they will report it correctly. There is a credibility to it. There is a due process that a journalist brings into it, and I have asked them to share their stories to journalists that I trust, so that their identity is not exposed and they can still share their stories. So that way a lot of stories have come out about classical musicians, and a few more are coming. As for for the other issues, I think a lot of other people believe that coming out with a story like this, especially some people in the South, believe that this will make you a target for more such predatory behavior. I met a lady on flight today who said, you're very, very brave, you have guts. If it were my daughter, I would have asked her to keep quiet. I said, why would you ask your daughter to keep quiet? Shouldn't it be? It's not her responsibility. But she actually responded and said, what if she gets targeted by more such men thinking she's easy? So I think this is a cross that a lot of victims bear, and this is the cross that makes them not come forward with their stories in public domain or even with their own friends, because some people have shared it with their friends who have gone on and made it into a gossip, and everybody has made fun of them and they have felt humiliated. So there are a lot of such repercussions that people are not willing to face, their families are not willing to face. So they believe they can't even trust their own family members. So how can they come out and say it in public? Actually, a colleague of mine, Sunita Sarthi, has shared her account of being assaulted as a child. She's just, she kept telling me for the past 3-4 days that I want to share my story, but I don't have the guts. I want to share my story, but I don't have the guts. But finally she found it in her. She dug deep and she put her story out. So when people like us, somehow gather whatever we have and put it out, despite all the shaming that we might be subjected to, I believe that a lot of other people gain strength from this, and they believe that we stand as an example, saying that it's not, we don't have to be ashamed of it. It is not our shame. The shame actually belongs to the predator. It belongs to the assaulter, not to the victim. And this has been, I think, the kind of societal change that we want to look at in the long run.
In fact, I was just going to ask you about that, and you've pretty much summarized that. The fact is that in many cases, we probably will not get any legal justice. But what is the long-term impact? The fact is that when you speak up and when we bring these voices to our viewers, the hope is more women will speak up, that men will think twice before they behave in this disgusting manner with anybody around them. And is that how you see Me Too go forward, Chinmay?
I think the most important thing that I would actually want to put out is for people to start speaking with their own family members. Please speak to your family. Please speak to your closest friends. Please tell them that you're there to listen and that you're there to believe them and help the healing process. I think if one family after another in India starts doing this, I am sure we can prevent a lot more children from being assaulted by adults, by all these predators who shouldn't be around children at all. I just want to see a future where no child even understands what it means, what child sexual abuse means. I just want it to be in history books, and I don't want anybody to have an experience ever.
Absolutely agree with you, Chinmay Sripadhan. Thank you so much for speaking up, and thank you for joining us this evening on Mirror Now. Let's move on. Another Bollywood name has surfaced. An anonymous survivor has accused Subhash Ghai, and this is a serious charge. She's accused Subhash Ghai of drugging her and then raping her. The director, however, has denied these allegations, calling it just a stunt, publicity stunt. Let's go across to Tanima very quickly to bring you the details of this story. Tanima?
Yes, Tanvi, in the Subhash Ghai case, the survivor has also given a lot of details about what kind of experience she had when she was alone in a car with Subhash Ghai. Apparently, the survivor alleges that Subhash Ghai gave her a drink, it was spiked, and that she was out of her senses, that she wasn't completely conscious after taking that drink. And allegedly, Subhash Ghai took her to a hotel in Lonavala, and then she further alleges that he took off her jeans and mounted on her. So these are serious allegations clearly pointing towards rape, which have been leveled against Subhash Ghai by this survivor. But Subhash Ghai, on the other hand, issued a statement completely denying these allegations. In fact, further, he went on to add that it's becoming a fashion to malign anybody, and past stories being brought up now without truth or half-truth, and that he claims that he has always respected women in his personal life as well as in his professional capacity. So Subhash Ghai clearly completely rubbishing these allegations, in fact belittling this entire movement, saying that it's become a fashion trend to actually give out these details and claim that they have been harassed. But the woman, of course, the survivor, giving details of what had happened to her, the fact that she is not only suggesting harassment but actually pointing out that it was sexual assault, how she was sexually assaulted allegedly by the director.
And we move on beyond the world of music and Bollywood, even in the world of politics now. Minister of State for External Affairs MJ Akbar has been accused by at least 7 women. The charges vary, the accusations vary from sexual harassment to all the way to sexual assault. Now, the minister is still on a foreign visit. He's yet to return from Nigeria. And we've not heard officially from the government on whether or not he will be questioned or any action will be taken. But I have with me another voice tonight. Shutapa Paul, also a journalist, has come out and shared her story, and she joins us on the phone line. Shutapa, thank you for speaking. Tonight the idea is only to bring the voices to the viewers, to share these stories in the hope that more women will be encouraged to speak up. Would you like to tell our viewers what your experience was with MJ Akbar when he was a journalist?
Tanvi, well, it was a very traumatic experience. The timing of the experience itself was very bad. I had lost my father a few months earlier in 2010, deeply distraught by this untimely demise, and there was a change of power in terms of editorial leadership, and MJ joined in 2010, around October, November. And from the time he came to Calcutta for the first meeting, because I was that time based out of Calcutta, I had taken a transfer during my previous job in Delhi. I had actually shifted base to Calcutta for my father. And from the day that he came and met us, this whole process, this whole pattern that he kind of showcased, which I didn't know back then, of course, that it was a pattern. Today, when I look at all these accounts that have come out, I see the same modus operandi playing out with all of us who've spoken against him. So, the most traumatic experience was the one that I have expressed in the, on my Twitter feed, the story where, I was called to the hotel, and it was the hotel lounge, and, we were supposed to discuss work, but clearly Mr. Akbar had other better things to talk about. He wanted me to have a drink. He wanted to talk about how journalists would get close and things could happen between them. He wanted me to accompany him to foreign visits. He was most interested to tell me that, you don't look like, you're no Cleopatra, but I like sitting and watching you. And that's what he did. Over a period of the next few months, these incidents started, becoming more and more, because he kept coming to Calcutta, and my only way was to keep refusing. And after the first few times when I was in Delhi, of course, he called me to his famous Nizamuddin East office, which again I didn't know was also a very common meeting ground for him. And
Right.
there too, I was made to feel quite uncomfortable, and he tried to hug while I was stepping out of the door. He seemed quite amused by the fact that I was trying to duck him. But once I started, the main problems, of course, why it started affecting my professional life as well, is that when I started avoiding him, when I started refusing to go and meet him at 11 in the night to some hotel, I saw that all my professional work started suffering. I became a virtual nobody in the organization. My story ideas were not getting approved as readily. My stories were being picked on. And it was a deeply traumatic and stressful 8 to 10 months of my life.
And I understand how traumatic and painful it can get, especially if it happens, repeatedly over and over at your workplace. Did you ever think about, at that time, confronting him, or even later in all of this time, have you thought about going back and telling him that this is not okay, and what he did had a huge impact on you?
To be honest, when I was, when I just couldn't handle everything that was happening then, I was just extremely emotionally distraught. I couldn't handle it. And I did call up an old boss, the former editor of India Today at that time, who had moved to a new organization. And he had originally recruited me. So I called him and I asked him for a job. And I remember discussing this with my mother that, I would like to go to the editor under MJ, who was a female editor. And if need be, maybe I should go to the owner of the organization. My mother also, of course, I didn't really get much support from her, but, I can't blame her. We were both dealing with another personal crisis at that moment. So,
yes.
Her advice to me was to, exit. And the problem is, today we have social media. Today we talk about sexual harassment. We talk about these new sections of the law which have been added. Back then in 2010-11, or like the other ladies have said, even in the 90s or early 2000s, we were not talking about sexual harassment so much. It was more something that, you're being victimized, you're being wronged. And the only way you can save yourself, the only way you can keep working, you exit the atmosphere, the toxic environment, which is your workplace, and you try to make a move and start afresh somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere down the line, what became the norm was for whoever is actually facing this kind of harassment to tell themselves that let it be, don't focus on it, focus on your work will get impacted, or hide from this person, avoid this person, how to get away from this person. I think we all kind of develop, women do, they develop these hacks to save themselves from sexual predators that are lurking around on a daily basis all around us. And I think that needs to stop now. We need to stop suppressing these incidents. We need to stop brushing them aside, and we need to come out and speak up about it. Shutapa, thank you so much for telling us your story and for speaking out. I really appreciate it. I appreciated that everybody who's done that, all those women, irrespective of what the response has been, irrespective of whether people question them, irrespective of whether people said, why now? It doesn't matter. What matters is this movement. What matters is the fact that women are saying, or even men in some cases are saying, no, we will not take this. You may be in a position of power. You may be my boss. You may be somebody who can destroy my career. But no, I will not take this anymore. Sexual harassment is not acceptable in whatever form. And we keep telling those people who are still wondering what is okay and what is not, there are guidelines. Please go check it out. Don't make that as an excuse for you to act like a pervert, like a sexual predator, or even a jerk. Women are not going to stop now. We will speak up. More stories will come in the coming days from the corporate sector, from the news industry, from Bollywood, from the music industry, from every other industry in our country. Because this time, this is not stopping until there is a bigger change. Now, I promised you voices on this show. Here's one more big voice. After Vinta Nanda spoke out and accused Alok Nath of rape, Sandhya Mridul also spoke up. She was the second one to come out and share her story, and it's a horrifying story. I'm sure by now all of you have heard it. Earlier in the evening, Faye D'Souza spoke with Sandhya about her experience and about what this movement means to her and how she sees it going forward. Take a look.
Well, the Me Too storm has now swept Bollywood. The upcoming film Houseful 4. Sajid Khan has stepped down as director after being accused of sexual harassment and the assault of 2 women. In his statement, he's also told the media not to pass any judgment until the truth is out, and one wonders what truth he is now referring to. This comes after Akshay Kumar tweeted taking a stand on the movement, requesting producers to cancel the shoot of the film. Now, this entire movement of the Me Too campaign began about a week ago, with the accusation, post the accusation of Nana Patekar having sexually harassed Tanushree Datta on the sets of one film, after which various stories began to come out. Is it just social media that allows us as women the freedom to now speak our minds? Where is this movement going? Joining me right now, Sandhya Mridul. Sandhya has also shared a story about actor Alok Nath, and this is the first time she's breaking her silence on television. Sandhya, first of all, thank you for joining us. I want to appreciate the bravery and the sort of poise with which you have shared the story and which you have maintained your entire stance. This came out obviously after Vinda Nanda talked about her experience with Alok Nath, and you felt the need to share your story. A lot of people have questioned why now, why wait for so long, why didn't you say anything back then? Do you have an answer for those questions?
No, Faye, I don't have an answer, and I don't care to answer these questions at all. We will come out when we are ready to come out. We will go through our experiences, we will regain our composure, we will clear our heads, and we will speak when we are ready to speak. And all those people who ask any of us why we did not speak can plainly go to hell.
Very well said, Sandhya. There's a lot being said about the movement right now. People want to know, where is this movement going? What do we as women want out of it? I mean, I've been asked the question repeatedly for the last 1 week. What do you want out of this? How are you going to prove these allegations from 20 years ago, from 15 years ago, from 10 years ago? So I want to ask you this question. And you've always been very vocal about what you want. What do you expect, or what do you want out of this movement ideally?
To start with, Faye, the biggest reason that men have gotten away with this is the silence of women. We agree, right? I mean, it's a silence which has allowed people to get away. The first and foremost thing that I expect from this movement which is happening now is that we have a voice. We are speaking. We are using it. Women are finally breaking their silence and speaking. So for now, that is the biggest start that we can have. It is a huge thing to have happened. And that should answer one of the questions that you asked me, that people want to know why there has been that silence. I mean, they're talking about that silence. We are breaking it now. Okay, now is as good a time as any. We are calling out the apathy in the male-dominated system. We're calling out the effective systems, the non-effective systems. We're calling it all out, basically. And that is what I expected for a very long time. And it's happening now. Where we go from here, I think the voice will only get louder and louder till effective systems start coming into place. It's as simple as that.
Well, Sandhya, do you believe we're anywhere close to done with this movement, given the sort of stories that are still coming out on a daily basis? Do you believe the larger names have been outed yet?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I wish to God I was 15 mobiles ago as I speak with you. But I think it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of building confidence. I think it's a matter of also putting effective systems. People ask me, why didn't I complain then? Why didn't any of these women complain then? Complain to who? I didn't know who to go to. My voice was not effective because there was no effective system in place. There was no effective committee. There was no effective support. There was no effective platform. Today we have social media. I can break my story and within 10 minutes all of you knew what was going on. So I mean, we have this now. We have this, and I think we can use it well. And I think, Faye, a couple of months ago somebody came to me, a very well-known publication that's doing good work and trying to investigate all of this, came to me and said, Sandhya, will you speak? And I said to them, look, in many ways than one, I'm your hashtag not me too. I didn't do anything. You know, I kind of, we need all women to speak and not feel ashamed. You know, even those women who had to go through this, because for me, it's always like, oh, you didn't get assaulted. You didn't, you know, nothing happened to you. It's very difficult. It's a thin line. And I just feel that it's important that we kind of create a panel, like a Me Too panel, where people can come and speak and tell their stories, and we can see if we can do anything for them. Are they legally protected? What kind of, because not everybody will be able to provide evidence now, Faye. It's very hard.
And Sandhya, when you talked about your story,
how do we give weight to these allegations?
When you talked about your story, you did say, of course, that you had to have the hairdresser spend the night with you in your hotel room, and you had the hairdresser, in fact, stay with you for several nights for protection. So legally, there were witnesses. Right. There were people at the time who could corroborate what happened to you, who could corroborate, you know, the situation at that time.
Yes.
So that is evidence,
yes,
technically. And with every single case, we could put together evidence in that manner.
Yes. So, you know, right. So that's what I'm saying. And that we can do, Faye. You know, it took me a lot to go through in my mind and think of the story and think of everything. But it was so clear once I sat down to write. It was very hard for me to put it down. And then it just flashed before my eyes. And I have my DOP who was there, who rescued me from my room. You know, I have my co-actors. I have another co-actress who reached out to me, Bhairavi Raichura, the other day. And she said, Sandy, I was there. I saw it all. If you want me to speak, I will speak. I have a couple of friends who I came back and spoke to it about so many years ago. They called me and they said, Sandhya, we're there to corroborate. So yes, I have evidence, but does everybody? Can everybody? And even if there are certain people, they will not speak. I'm lucky I have people who will speak for me, you know. So we need to kind of, and it's also very difficult to put together, Faye. You know, you're shaking, you're digging so deep, you've buried it, you've tried to move on. These are demons, they're, you know, that you've kind of walked away from. You know, so I think a lot of counseling, conversation, advice, structuring is required. And I really feel it would be, you know, I was speaking to Sushant Singh of Sinta today. He's doing very good work. He's putting together a committee. He is collaborating with the International Federation of Actors in Hollywood. He is, you know, he's taking advice from the Me Too movement there, which is, you know, which is important. He's trying to talk to the Producers Guild here. He's setting a committee in place for all of this. And I think that is as close to a panel as we can get, where we can also kind of bring in a whole lot of actors, put down a list of names that they've experienced things with, and see how you can go about it. I think we need a system. I think we should do this. It'll give, you know, stimulus to this movement. It'll give support and strength to the people who are unsure. I've always been a very strong and confident person in spite of everything that happened to me. But I'll tell you something. It was very hard for me to do this. It was very hard for me to pen this down because these were things I ran away from. And like I said, you know, you need this counseling. You need legal advice. I'm fortunate, I come from a family of lawyers. I spoke with my brother, I spoke with my family, and you need that. You need that support, however strong and confident or whatever the hell like people image you as. You need all of that. And I think it's a good thing to consider, and I'm glad that it's all blown out, that people are thinking of solutions now. You know, and not just saying, chalta hai, ye to hota hai, Sandhya ji, aapko kisi ne haath to nahi lagaya, jaane dijiye.
But you know what?
That's all I heard always.
Sandhya, this is my question to you. You know, for a lot of us who don't work in the film industry, we're probably not as familiar with what goes on. But the allegations against Sajid Khan, for example, that have surfaced in the last 24 hours, in those allegations, he talks about how this is how it works in this industry. You have to live with the director. The director will have his way with you multiple times. This is what is expected of you. It's not even just a one-night stand. It's a drawn-out thing over many months. And then I will decide whether or not to even give you the role. Did that come as a shock to you, or is this how it works? Because you keep telling me that people say to you, nothing happened to you. Does that mean something happening is the norm? Is this how it works?
It's not a shock to me, and I think I tweeted about that. Faye, it's not a shock to me. These are the not so well kept secrets. Everybody knows everything about everybody, you know, and it's there. It's just that People are scared to speak. You have to give up on your career. You have to give up on your work. Sometimes, and it's mental abuse. And sometimes, like I said, it's so difficult to identify. In my case, nobody actually managed to lay a hand on me. But that had a lot to do with me. I made sure that I was never in that position. I made sure the murmurs were in the background when it came to me. Oh, don't touch her, she'll talk. Don't touch her, she won't do it. And like I said in my letter, even though I didn't get assaulted, my career, my soul, my head, everything got assaulted. And so it's just that you make that choice, and it's not a fair choice. And as far as Sajid is concerned, I'm sorry to say this, and it's probably hurtful to his family, but the fact of the matter is that everybody has known Sajid's stories for a very long time now, Faye.
Oh, we've had a couple of journalists actually message me saying it's impossible that they would have not known. Everybody knew this. Everybody was silent about it. It's very easy to now turn around and say, I'm heartbroken or I'm shocked and I can't believe what I'm hearing. But most of it is the truth. The truth about most of it is that all of these people already knew. Is that true? Do you agree with that as well?
Yeah, I do. I'm sure. I mean, like I said, everybody knew. Everybody's known about him for a very long time, and there are a whole lot of people like that everybody knows about. And these are the not so well kept secrets. I mean, but I don't know. It's a joke. It's so deep. It's so deep. And I cannot believe I'm finally speaking about this. And I cannot believe that I have somebody like you listening to me, and not making me feel bad about myself. And for that, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I never thought I would make it here. I never thought, that we would get a platform like this to ever speak. And everybody knows everything, Faye. I'm sorry, but that's the fact of it. And I say.